Welcome to my channel, Books, Scares, and Purrs. My name's Leslie. And basically, where do I start? I just thought I'd check in and talk about what I'm currently reading and where I'm going in the next couple of months with my channel. I'm a little bit behind, or not really where I wanted to be. So by now, I would have liked to already have put a wrap up on my first small shelf. And that's about 10 books between January, February, and March. Even though I've read other like side project books and been a part of other readathons, I've had edit other books. I still wanted to, be done with like 10 books by March, and that hasn't happened. And so I thought I'd just check in with where I'm at. And I have so much stuff on my desk, so let's see if I can get to it. I'm currently reading Boyle Heights: How a Los Angeles Neighborhood Became the Future of American Democracy. I have two big books to read for March. This is one of them. I knew I was probably going to slow down the reading pace because this is a nonfiction book. It's a dense read. It's historical nonfiction talking about a specific neighborhood in Los Angeles from the beginning of colonization to present time, what has made the area diverse and how has it become not so diverse? What are the factors going on historically and present day? I have just a couple of chapters to read, so I just don't want to say when I'm going to get done. Every time I read a chapter, then I wait till like the next day. Basically, I'm reading like a chapter a day. I'm going really slow by the time I've actually gotten to this. And so that's why I'm not done yet. And with all the books, they're kind of like behind me. Can you see them? That I've read. I also participated in a readathon in February and added a couple books here and there. So that like really threw me off. And the last book for my small shelf is another most likely dense read because it is nonfiction. And that is Lies My Teacher Told Me: Everything Your American History Textbook Got Wrong by James W. Lowen. And I haven't even started this one. This is another one that I also wanted to be done by the end of March. I figured it's going to be a lot on me. So I thought, okay, maybe I could tackle this. And between that and being busy in my personal life, it's just been a challenge to get through. It's not the books. It's quite literally me and my crazy schedule on top of everything. So I made a decision. I'm going to finish this. I'm still going to tackle reviews the same way I have been, which is a short review that's non-spoiler and a separate segment that is spoiler content, just because I like to be able to discuss an entire book, just release all my thoughts out there. And in case anyone else has read the book and wants to have those kind of spoiler talks, I've just carved out a space for that on my channel, as well as if anybody's interested in reading a book, but maybe, some people are fine being spoiled with what goes on in a book because somehow, at least I know for me, sometimes depending on the book, I don't mind being spoiled because I find all the little details fascinating and that will actually intrigue me to pick up a book as well. So I decided that as I finish this up, just solidly focusing on this book, I'm going to go ahead and borrow the audiobook from Libby. I saw that it was available, and I'm going to slow read this. So I probably won't be done with this for another month, maybe. I'm just giving myself the room. I'm just going to very slowly read this, almost like on the periphery of other reading projects I have. And by the time I'm done with this book, I will finally do a wrap up. It's just not going to be as neat and tidy as quarterly as I wanted to. And the wrap up will solely only be like per shelves because that's one project I have going on. I'm not necessarily tackling a wrap up to include all my other side projects, if that makes any sense. That'll be like a separate thing. So that's it for my small shelf. I have my notes that I'm looking at. Also, by the first Saturday of April, I have a romance book to read. I should have it's supposed to be for March, and I haven't read that because I focused so much time on Boyle Heights. And so while I'm reading Lies My Teacher Told Me, I'm also going to be reading my book, A Highland for Hannah by Mary Warren. It just sounds like a really cute book. And so yeah, I have to finish that up within the first week of April because I should have already read it. And on top of that, I I scheduled my romance chat to be around like 6 p.m. on a Saturday. I might change that time. And hopefully by tomorrow, if not tonight, I'll have a better idea of what time I should schedule it for. I just feel like I had that kind of late night on purpose to accommodate someone else. And so since I'm kind of flying solo for a little bit, I would rather just, have it earlier so more people attend. Consider that some people are on the East Coast and such. So that's another thing is my romance TBR is all over the place. Oh, and before I forget, I think I'm going to do a wrap up for my romance reads, but it's going to be at the end of the year. And then I'll try to maybe rank all the romance reads at the end of the year. I just thought that would be kind of nice because then I'm just only discussing that particular genre and my experiences with it, considering that I'm not really that into romances, or I don't necessarily gravitate towards romance. It's like the first thing I go for. So that's basically been on my mind. What else am I forgetting? I have no, I have three side projects. You see, this is why I'm going. I've decided that I would reward myself when I'm done with my first small shelf to um, create a project that I miss, and that's an author focused uh, quasi month of reading or just another project. Because last year, each month, I focused on one author and I would read a minimum of two books by a particular author and discuss that author, discuss their books, um, maybe the arc of their work. It just, I don't know, it was like a lot of fun to kind of just dig in. And I miss that. So, although I'm thankful for the variety that I have going on with my small shelf project, I also just miss all the author focused TBR. So, I'm going to be doing that. And I decided that I'd focus on Margaret Pinard. She has a YouTube channel. And let's see if I can do this. Totally forgot to get this ready ahead of time. I'm going to go ahead and share her YouTube channel. Oh, here we are. Okay. All right. Margaret Pinard is an author. They have their own YouTube channel. It's exactly the same as her name. And she covers historical fiction, speculative fiction recently. And I like historical fiction. I like reading nonfiction history as well. And I do gravitate towards material that's about like maybe social injustices. And so her work seems to be like right up my alley. She's also a lovely person. I've been on her channel before. And I've actually learned a lot, which will come up later from her. She's also written a book. I know I'm tackling her books, but I want to bring up something particular. You know what? I don't know if she has it in here. So about her channel, she's a writer, reader, and shocking consumer of tea. 70% booktube with 20% author tube, fibers, tumble dry, low dry, clean at your peril. Um, she has 6 books. Oh, I wonder if let's try to go to all her books. I'm not going to read all of them, but I am. I wonder if I just do this, if it'll be easier for you to see. Okay, cool, that worked. All right, so I'm at Margaret Pinard's channel or website. And the Complete Remnants Family, I can't see this. Family Saga is what I have, but I have the original covers. And how do I go back? So the Keening, the Grasping Root, Storm, Rack, and Spindrift. I love all those those titles. I'm also going to read Fabled Passages, and what else am I forgetting? What she doesn't have here is she has she made a contribution to an anthology called the Stygian Collection. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up as well. It's called I know they have a YouTube channel. Oh, the Stygian Society. Here we go. And so there's also author talks on this. I haven't really kept up, but when the anthology collection came out, there was an interview with every single author, I believe, on the channel. So I really like that. So I'm gonna go back and tell you about the Stygian collection. It says, do you dare confront the demons lurking in the Stygian depths of the human psyche? Step into the shadows with 24 fresh voices, each offering their own unique twist on the meaning of Stygian. In this debut publication, you'll find yourself immersed in a diverse range of tales that explore the depth of human emotion, from dark horror and murder mysteries to surreal poetry and philosophical musings. Each story is a unique journey into the unknown. Experience the vengeful poem that unleashes Dante's wild spirit, the melancholy memory of railway tracks, and the young witch who discovers the true power of flames. So I felt like this will be a fun read. I might read this at the first book to explore her work. She made a contribution, so there's that one, and there's also let me go back. I'm going to look up Fabled Passages. With you again. Let me see. Ooh, I need to make myself smaller somehow. Nope. Okay, better. Sorry. All right, Fabled Passages is an ebook, so I'm gonna be getting this. This came out, I think, last year, pretty recently. This is only 96 pages. Okay. Oh, in 2022. Okay, where have I been? It says delight in the absurd and wonder among the fantastical in these speculative fiction short stories. Drawn from the imagination of a historical fiction author, these stories push the envelope of genre and mix and match tropes with a vengeance. And I love genre bending. That's definitely my jam. So this is why another reason I wanted to read her work. And it says this collection is a small sample of experimental shorts ranging from historical adventure and earth magic to contemporary portal fantasy and time travel. They are meant to intrigue, inspire, entertain, and mystify, all while world building with a few deft strokes. These characters forge their own destiny, come to terms with grief, meet of justice, and discover how they fit into this world, their world. The journey to discover truth is unique for everyone, a fabled passage into one's own power. And so I'm debating about when I'm going to read this. Maybe I'll read that maybe at the end. I'm not sure yet, but I'm definitely want to read both of those. And then back to her trilogy. I have the books. Oh my goodness, yes. But I'm wondering if, let me not even go there yet. If I just have a couple of friends that I think would really like this. And so um, if I read it and it turns out they'll like this, then I'm probably going to give these books to one of my friends that are into historical fiction. That's just on my mind. And so I think it's a Keening is first, right? Yeah. So I'll just read the back of the first one. A family torn apart by the effects of war must now deal with the trickle-down effect of peace, the collapse of the kelp industry on which they depend. Sheila McLean worries about her children getting ahead in the rapidly industrializing world of 1822, while her second husband, Galan, is never quite sure about his ability to replace the father of her children. Neil, the firstborn son of at 16, must put duty before his own hopes and dreams. But what about when love enters his life? We know that's gonna throw a wrench in things. Oh, I don't know how to say this name. Maureen, younger than Neil by a year, can no longer count on a dependable future in her own parish and wants to find a way to contribute to her family's safety too. But is marriage the only way to do it? Little ones, Sheena and Alistair, are swept along with the tides of change as the McLeans flee their home in search of peace and security. But where will they find a new place to call home? When will the keening end and their new lives begin? So that sounds right up my alley. I love the titles, The Grasping Root. I believe this just covers the family through generations. Stormrack and Spindrift. I mean, I love these titles. And so that's going to be a part of my author focus. Oh, sorry. Itchy. So yeah, that'll be my author focus TBR. And that will be its own separate wrap up. And if time permits, Margaret Pinard's very, very nice and kind with her time. I'll see if I could get a chat going with her, but I want to wait till I'm done completely with the books before I schedule anything. Because yes, I'm sure I'll be plenty nervous and feel completely inequipped no matter how much I prepare. All right, so that's that. All right. Talking about being behind on my small shelf TBR project, I decided that I would have like a small list of anticipated reads, and those would be the only books I would allow myself to purchase this year as a reward for tackling books that I already own. Trying to give myself a reward system that also like forces me on a budget And hopefully over time I'll switch more to like library reading. Um, but yeah, but since I feel the pressure of time and like not really keeping up and not really sure when I'm going to finish this small shelf project. I would like to get it done within the year. I don't think it's going to happen. And I'm trying not to like pressure myself to get it done in a year. I want to continue the project with just other books, other shelves, I guess, next year. So, with that said, I'm also putting myself behind on tackling my anticipated reads that I'm rewarding myself with. So I just wanted to let you know that once I'm done with an author focused TBR, I'm going to switch to reading anticipated reads. What I wanted to originally do was read some anticipated reads before. Oh, sorry, hold on. But I just feel like time's getting away with me and I didn't want to push off my author focused TBR any longer. So I'm going to have a separate TBR project that's going to be just my anticipated reads. And so I have a stack with them. Yeah, I have everything everywhere. I have a couple of other ideas for a couple of them, but I'll let you know when I get to them. Sure. One of my anticipated reads is Womb City. If you've checked out my community tab, I've shared a photo because I'm so excited to meet the author. They kicked off, I guess, their book tour at Village Well in Culver City, which is near me. And so I was able to meet the author, hear them talk from their book, also just talk about their book a little bit. And it was just a delightful conversation. I'm glad I was able to be there. And so this is science fiction, and this is a good example of what I'm into in terms of talking about like social injustices. And so it says an adrenaline packed cyberpunk body hopping African futurist ghost story exploring motherhood, memory, and a woman's right to her own body. Nella seems to have it all: fame, wealth, and a long awaited daughter growing in a government lab, but trapped in a loveless marriage and monitored by microchips. Her perfect life is precarious. After an eerie car accident, Nella commits a desperate crime and buries the body, daring to hope that she can keep one last secret. And I'm going to leave it there because, I mean, look at this cover. Sistah Scifi shared about this book on their Instagram, and that's how I learned about the book. When I make book reviews, specifically the spoiler chats, I always have a list and the details of either virtual or physical bookstores I'm championing, and Sistah Scifi is one of those bookstores. I love the books that they put out. They just have like a knack for curation that really works. And Isis heads the, I think, Wine Wednesdays, I think it's called, where they talk to different authors, and I'm really enjoying that. In case you're interested, so that's the first one. That's going to be a part of my anticipated TBR. I don't know what order I'm going to read this, but I just kind of going along. There's also So Let Them Burn by Camilla Cole. So I believe this is YA fantasy. It's not something I gravitate towards. The reason why I added this book to my anticipated reads, if I'm going to be honest, is this was an author that was review bombed, I guess it's called, by a bunch of fake accounts. And it's just so important to champion authors and all the hard work. You know, I love reading. Reading is like, might as well be my personality. It's just me reading because I love reading so much. And so to realize that someone that works so hard to create something for me to enjoy would get review bombed is just so unfortunate. It just really bothered me. And so that's actually one of the major reasons why I picked this up, to be honest. And I'll read the inside. It says, "There is nothing that Farron won't do for her sister. Farron Vincent can channel the power of the gods. 5 years ago, she used her divine magic to liberate her island from its enemies, the dragon-riding Languish Empire. But now at 17, Farron is all powered up with no wars to fight. She's a legend to her people and a nuisance to her neighbors. When she's forced to attend an international peace summit, Farron expects that she will perform tricks like a trained pet and then go home. She doesn't expect her older sister, Alara, forming an unprecedented bond with an enemy dragon, or the gods claiming that the only way to break this bond is to kill her sister. As Farron's desperation to find another solution takes her down a dark path, and Alara discovers the shocking secret at the heart of the Languish Empire, each must make difficult choices that will shape the other's lives, as well as the fate of their world. And so I just think that sounds interesting. On top of, I read the back and it says Camilla Cole is a Jamaican American author who answers only to her evil overlord, a cat named Sora. So just learning about the author as well maybe shouldn't influence me reading the book, but hey, she champions her cat. I'm all for it. Also, I just read a book in February by a Jamaican British author, so I look forward to reading a book by a Jamaican American author. And here my piles get bigger and bigger. I don't know where to start. Okay. As you know, my author crush is Hanif Abdurraqib, and he just came out with a book, but he was not on my list of anticipated reads, and that the only reason why he's not on it is because I didn't know he was coming out with a book. If I had known he was going to be, he would have been on. So I'm not even like, I'm just adding him. Anytime Hanif puts out any work, I'm going to be reading it. That's it. And so he came out with There's Always This Year on Basketball and Ascension. And it says, by the author of the National Book Award finalist, A Little Devil in America. I could tell you right now, any books you read by this author are going to be incredible. He has, I want to say, 2 or 3 poetry collections out that I've read. I have a copy of that. He also put out, what else? Besides Little Devil in America, he came out with, I have 2 editions of this book that I can't think of the name right now. They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us. That's an essay collection. Although he's known as a poet, he's also known as a social and music critic. Pretty sure that says that in his bio. And just the way he writes, the way he carries off the reader through this emotional wave really captures me, the human spirit, everything. And so I'm not even into sports. So it just doesn't matter. I'm going to read everything that this author writes. And I'm hearing so many great things about this author, about this current book, I should say. And so, yeah, I'll be reading this, even though he wasn't on the list. It's like an automatic. Don't need to put him on it. I'm going to get it. And with that said, there's one more book that was not on my anticipated reads that I made an exception for. And this is Promise Boys by Nick Brooks. I can't remember. I think this came up in my Insta feed, but I don't remember who was championing it. I don't know. I might be wrong. It may have not been Sistah Scifi. Oh no, you know what? Who was it? Was Village Well. I follow Village Well bookshop, and they had a photo with the author and the book because it came in to sign some copies. I didn't get a signed copy. This was like the last copy. I ran over there and it was too late. I've never read from the genre of dark academia before. Again, I'm into all genres, but it's just something that I haven't really gravitated towards, even though there's supposedly incredible books like Babel and so many others that I heard of are good. Babel seems a little bit daunting. I've seen how big it is, and I don't think I could do it. Anyways, so as soon as I heard about this book, it sounded so interesting. It's YA and dark academia, so I think it's something that I could tackle with speed. And also, I was just interested in what the book was about, and also a little bit about the author. I'll read you about the author because I found the author themselves very interesting. Nick Brooks is an author and award-winning filmmaker and Washington, D.C. Oh, from Washington, D.C. He is a 22. Oh, I'm all over the place. He is a 2020 graduate of USC's TV and film production program. His short film, Hoop Dreamin', earned him the George Lucas Scholarship Award and was a finalist in the Forbes 30 Under 30 Film Fest. He is currently in development for his first feature film, We Were Born Kings. Before becoming a filmmaker, Nick was an educator working with at-risk youth, and many of his stories are colored by his experiences with the children and families of his community. So all of that sounded intriguing, and there's also the story itself. Murder wasn't part of the promise. The Urban Promise Prep School vows to turn boys into men. As students, JB, Ramon, and Trey are forced to follow the prestigious program, strict rules, extreme discipline, they've been told, is what it takes to be college bound to avoid the fates of many men in their neighborhoods. This, the Principal Moore method, supposedly saves lives. But when Moore ends up murdered and the cops come sniffing around, the trio emerges as the case's prime suspect. With all three maintaining their innocence, they must band together to track down the real killer before they are arrested. But is the true culprit hiding among them? So that sounded interesting. I mean, this is another cover. I don't know what is with these red covers between this one and where is it? And Womb City. I'm loving these red covers. It's just incredible. So yeah, I'm gonna be reading that. Even though it's not on my anticipated reads, I made that exception. And I also went to Village Well because I wanted to pick up a book that was a part of my anticipated reads, but I'm not going to be reading it for this particular TBR. I just want to let you know it's in the pipeline. And that's Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. I wanted to read this as part of my anticipated reads, but then I remembered I have a couple of other works on my shelf that this author was involved in. I read There, and I can't remember what it's called. I have an anthology collection that they're a part of. I have one or two, I think. And on top of that, when I do read this, I do want to go back and read There again just to refresh my memory, because this book actually takes place before and after There. So it's complementary to There. And I just want to be able to refresh my memory. So what I decided is I'm going to hold off on reading this as a part of a anticipated reads TBR, and instead save this for later this year as another author focus for Tommy Orange. And so on the inside it says, Wandering Stars is the eagerly awaited follow-up to Tommy Orange's There. And it says, Colorado, 1864, Star, a young survivor of the Sand Creek Massacre, is brought to the Fort Marion prison castle, where he is forced to learn English and practice Christianity by Richard Henry Pratt, an evangelical prison guard who will go on to found the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, an institution dedicated to the eradication of Native history, culture, and identity. A generation later, Starr's son, Charles, is sent to the school where he is brutalized by the man who was once his father's jailer. Under Pratt's harsh treatment, Charles clings to moments he shares with a young fellow student, Opal Viola. As the two envision a future away from the institutional violence that follows their bloodlines. And I'll read a little bit about the author. Tommy Orange is an enrolled member of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes of Oklahoma. He was born and raised in Oakland, California. He currently teaches at the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So yeah, I will be tackling that, but it's not going to be a part of my anticipated reads. And lastly, I don't know when I'm going to read this, but I did purchase this recently. So this is kind of like a little bit like a book haul, but I think I might sneak this in when I read my anticipated reads. And this is something I picked up while I was at Village Well. It's small and it wasn't a lot of money, and so it's like a local author. So I thought I'd just kind of grab it and support a local author. And it says The Black Lord by Colin Hinckley. Eddie's parents may be agonizing over the disappearance of his infant brother Danny, but Eddie's facing a terror all his own. There's a strange figure outside that claims it was Danny's safe and sound. All Eddie needs to do to get his brother back is open that window. Eddie's father is filled with guilt over his relationship with his own lost brother. Eddie's mother has been abandoned to navigate her grief and terrible. Oh my gosh, I can't even read this right. Eddie's mother has been abandoned to navigate her grief and terror alone. His grandmother carries with her a disturbing and all too relevant truth about their shared family history. As minutes tick by and hope for Danny grows even smaller, the very fabric of their world disintegrates, welcoming eldritch terrors of unspeakable provenance to their doorstep. The family is losing a decade-long struggle against an entity that is not of this world, and its hunger threatens to swallow them whole. And so I thought this would be like a really cool, quick read, and a great way to get familiar with an author I'm not familiar with. And I don't know if there's any information about the author really. All right, so apparently there's 3 authors. This is about the contributors. Colin Hinckley grew up at the edge of the forest in rural Vermont, where many of his most enduring nightmares were born. His work has appeared in Tales to Terrify, The Linwood Review, and more. He lives in North Hollywood, California with his fiancée, Amanda, and his cat, Franklin. Then there's also Matt Blair Stone. Oh, he's a publisher and founder of Tenebro Press, as well as a writer, artist, and editor. He lives in Portland, Oregon. Echo Echo is a Portuguese artist and a proponent of horror. She immerses herself in individual pieces for up to a year at a time and renders it in extreme detail. Echo also performs in multiple bands, finding equal freedom in expressing herself through music as she does through illustrations. Okay, so I'm getting myself all turned around. So it's only by Colin Hinckley, and then there's the contributors, the illustrators and publishers and such. So yeah, I just think this will be an easy, quick read and something that I can enjoy amongst all the other anticipated reads. So that will be a part of that TBR. And lastly, I have an additional side project. And this will be the last side project that I was not anticipating this year. The second season of Interview with the Vampire is going to come out. Anne Rice wrote a series of books, a whole bunch of them. And I've read most of them. And they're called the Vampire Chronicles, but the show has been adapted and they just named it after the first book, Interview with the Vampire. So I'm so excited, and I find myself just wanting to like remember certain parts of the book and seeing how the material is adapted, that I ended up picking up a copy. I know I shouldn't have. The Vampire Lestat. I'm gonna be reading this so slowly. I just everything else has priority, but every once in a while, I've already read a little bit. I read the intro. I just want to be able to pick it up and just have like those knowledgeable chats. For my other segment that I'm doing on BookTube, which is I am gonna have what do you call it? Like a watch party and after the show discussion. I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just such a huge fan that I want to do this, even though on top of that, initially when the show came out, I feel like there was a lot of backlash and some of that, not all of it. Some of it was just like I'll just call it what it is. Some of it is just really racist because of who was cast as. There's two characters that were cast. The actor Jacob Anderson and something I forgot her name, Bailey. Oh my gosh, I should know her name by now. But basically, some of the characters that were white in the book are now black on the show, and I think every single change adaptation that's taken place for the show has been incredible, an apt choice. The story actually makes more sense because of the choices the show is making, and so some of the other critiques are people that have only read the first book. It seems like don't like the adaptation. They don't think it's true to the books, but that's not true because what happened was Anne Rice wrote the first book, Interview with a Vampire, and then so many books come after later. They cover different time periods, different characters. But every once in a while, there will be a character that will talk about what happened in Interview with a Vampire, the first book, and will add additional layers to that story and perspectives. And so that's what the show's doing. It's grabbing a whole bunch of the books and it's like condensing it. And that's what adaptations do. At least that's what I think. Great adaptations take the material and translate it to different medium, and it's never going to be quite exactly the same as the books. And I've loved every single change they've made. And so I've also feel like I'm doing this other watch party and after show chat because I just feel like I've heard other podcasts, especially recently, that have with hosts that have read the book and seen the show, and I feel like sometimes I get frustrated when I'm listening to it because I feel like certain things are going over the head, or I don't know. I'm just not a fan of everyone's interpretation of how they're taking this show, and I want to be like a space for like positivity, where the fans of the book and show could get together and also have spoiler talks. There are a couple of other people, great people, that have non-spoiler chats, I guess, that have basically they're watching the show, but they've read like one book and haven't read the rest, and so I can't really comment on their critiques because then I might spoil something for them. So I just need to carve out a space for us fans of the books that have read a whole chunk of them and that are also reading, watching the show, and just want to have that space to be able to say whatever you want to say and just know that we're not going to spoil anything for everyone else, because on my discussions, I always slap on like spoiler discussion. Yeah. So we could just engross ourselves in being fans, basically. So yeah, so I'm slowly going to read the books again. I think like last year I tried reading a couple and I was feeling big time book burnout. And so I felt like that contributed to the books not really gelling with me too much. And so, yeah, I'm just feel like reinvigorated to talk about all that stuff. Anyways, so that's the last topic for all my different bookish projects. Just wanted to check in with like some, I guess, technological advancements. One thing, this is like the first time I'm recording with my new camera. So hopefully this will help me out. as far as like the graininess and quality of my videos going forward. I got Rio Ultra HD camera. It was a cheaper option for me. Ever since I started a booktube channel, that's kind of been my issue. I originally started recording using just my laptop with a stock camera. The quality was terrible, and also when I record, I could hear like the inner workings of the computer. I'm sure that's like an audio issue, and I just don't know enough to know how to fix that or make it go away. So that was turning out terrible. Additionally, like at some point I still do have my camera, which is a Nikon camera. I don't know. There's some Z30. I am glad I bought this, but if I had known about Logitech, I probably would have just gone with that. But yeah, so I still have this. The quality is great, but I could only record for maybe like half an hour, and then the battery goes out. And also, I've had issues with recharging this, where I'll recharge it and then it doesn't charge. I don't know what's going on, but it's not like just my camera. I've seen plenty of people talking about this in chats about this model, and that's a bummer because I have that limitation. I schedule out what I'm going to do when, and then give me 5 more minutes. Sorry, I have to hurry up and wrap this up. So yeah, it's just really messed up with my time schedule if I want to record and suddenly I realize that even though I've charged this all night, it didn't charge. So that's been like my biggest issue with that. Let me see. Also, I started using StreamYard just thanks to Margaret Pinard. She has a whole series of playlists on her channel covering really just teaching people how to use StreamYard and all the different I don't know, the different skill sets and things that you could do with it, the tools, I guess you could say. So I'm still learning it, but I love it hands down. This is like the best thing that's happened to me is getting StreamYard. And so between StreamYard and Logitech, I'm so excited for what I'm going to do as far as my channel. And then lastly, I had an old Kindle Fire from whenever Kindle Fire started coming out. It stopped working, and honestly, I just realized that I really just used it to hook up to my TV to watch certain streaming services. But it's so old, and it just wouldn't go anymore. It wouldn't charge, so I had to turn it in, and I turned it back into Amazon for a trade, and so I ended up getting. Here we go. What is it called? The Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition. I love it. I went ahead and treated myself out to that. I like it because I could add Libby to it. I borrow a book from Libby, and there's an option to send it to my Kindle, which is great because that means I'm going to be borrowing a lot more library books, and it's small enough to take around with me. They do have like access to web. I'm not really using that, but I did bookmark Storygraph. So whenever I want to add what I've read recently, I could go to Storygraph from my Kindle really quick and do that. But really, I just want this just to read and to not have other distractions. So yeah, this seems to be something that's working out good for me. And I think that's the last thing right now is just having that option to borrow books, because I do have my phone, but I would really like to be away from my phone. I like the idea that this is in black and white, and there's like a warming option so that the light is not so bright, and there's a nice contrast, much like just reading a book, and that'll give me my eyes some rest, basically. So yeah, that's everything that I have currently going on. If you stuck around for this whole segment, thank you so much. Um, and yeah, I'll keep reading. Let me know what you think, or if you have any other technological advancements that you want to let me know that's going on in the tube world that would work well for me. Um, and yeah, I'll see you at the next video. Bye.